Introduction to building a secondary suite, an overview of the strategy. What is adding a secondary suite? Adding secondary suites means adding another self-contained apartment in an existing property or subdividing the space. For example, if you have a house with a basement that is unfinished, you could finish the basement and complete it as a self-contained suite. This property could now have two suites and become a duplex. The main floor, which was finished before, is now a self-contained unit with a kitchen, bathroom, and most likely a laundry room, bedroom or bedrooms, living areas, and the basement has a separate entrance, and it could be using a shared side entrance or a brand new entry space that you create. There are many ways to do it. Let's see, so depending on the location where basements are less common, maybe you've got a garage that could be converted into another unit. That's another way of adding a suite using the same roof and same structure. Or you could build an existing structure and add a second suite. For example, it could be a garden suite or a tiny home, or you could convert the attic into another unit. It is quite an extensive renovation, and it's a large scale. You will be probably spending many months with the renovation and permitting and zoning requirements, but there are lots of things to consider as well. The opportunities are enormous for revenue, and now you've got two income streams rather than one. So when you're looking at a property, a single family home, it may not cash flow, but now a duplex or a property with two units potentially will cash flow. It could be doing very well depending on the location and many other factors such as the market, the demand. Let's say you go with the route of adding upstairs, then you could build above. Let's say the attic is not buildable, you could create a second story. As mentioned earlier, a basement is probably a better option, or an attic, and reusing the existing structure. Each unit should have some privacy. For example, a garden suite or an accessory dwelling unit, those are separate structures, like a tiny home that could be built in the backyard. And they may not be attached to the dwelling at all, the main house. Many cities and municipalities require those to use the same water intake. And the sewers as well. All the electrical, everything goes through the main house and then to the secondary house. Again, it's considered one kind of building, so it's separate, and now you've got two detached structures on the same property, and it increases the density of housing. So you have to consider when thinking about this type of building, maybe you'd prefer to actually have one larger structure and not two. Some municipalities and some areas having two buildings on the same property is not one of the best things to have. It might be difficult to insure. So have a look at that. And then now you're going from a single house, single family home to a duplex or even triplex depending on where you're located. Some new jurisdictions are now allowing to go from 1 to 3 units right away. This increases the value of the property. You're creating wealth in a way. So for example, you want to do it in an economical way and create more value within the property. Let's say you spend, for example, around number $100,000. The hope is that you've created maybe $150,000, $140,000 in value. That way you're able to recuperate all or most of your funds and then move on, which could be a refinancing opportunity. A big advantage of using a basement or an attic or a garage is that you're not building an entirely separate structure. You don't need new foundations, you don't need another roof. You are sharing many of the existing elements of the existing property. And this could even include heating and cooling, depending on local regulations. Also, depending on the layout you're putting in, you can share many items like the driveway, maybe the backyard can just be split into two. So for property management, it makes things much easier. Instead of going to two different properties, you're now going to one single location and you can negotiate better pricing if you're dealing with lawn care, snow removal, all kinds of different maintenance services. You're sending people to one location. So that is a big cost savings. Also, you control the property fully. So you're not sharing the property with someone else. It's not a semi-detached property where you have a neighbor that's a different owner. You own the entire place. So as you invest in it, you can choose your tenants and you can choose the rules surrounding the property and make it your own.